Hi everyone, I'm Yona Paley and I believe genealogy is fun, and today we're going to be playing a game that I invented. That's right, I invented this game, and if you guys like it, it may even become a regular part of the channel. The game is called Immigrant of the Day, and what I've done is I've highlighted one Ellis Island immigrant so that we can profile them and learn about their family and where they came from, and what their trajectory was once they came to the United States. But before we begin, make sure to smash the thumbs up button, just as if you were about to smash a brick wall on your own family tree. Also, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you'll be informed when I post any more fun videos, which, trust me, is very, very often. But anyways, let's get down to the game. So what I wanted to do was pick a random immigrant in order to profile. And what I had to do at first was to set some parameters to make it a little more narrow. You know, after all, there are millions and millions of people who came into the United States. And what I decided to do was, first of all, to set it so that I would only pick people who arrived via Ellis Island. Ellis Island received immigrants between January of 1892 and November of 1954. So what I did is I went to a website called random.org. which has a random date generator. And so I set the parameters and went to work. But it wasn't without a few hitches at the beginning. I had the website pick a date, which ended up being June 7th, 1943. And what I then did was use another function on the same website, which allows you to generate, you guessed it, a random string of letters. So I set the string to 2 letters, which turned out to be O and L. And then I went to Ancestry's Arriving New York Passenger List database. I input the letters O and L as the initials for the immigrant and set the date to June 7, 1943. And although there were 800 plus entries that showed up in the search, thankfully only 8 of them actually arrived on that same date. So then I turned to another random number generator to decide which of those 8 was going to be our lucky immigrant. And as it turns out, it was number 1 who, unfortunately, wasn't an immigrant at all. He was a crew member. And so I started all over again, did the process from scratch, and then I came up with another guy. But this time, he was an immigrant, but he had an incredibly generic name. And even by looking at the details on the ship manifest and trying to trace him by his age and where he had relatives living, there just wasn't enough there where I could reasonably trace him. So I was about to throw my hands up in defeat, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this one more time. And you know what, folks? 3rd time is the charm, because this time around, I found my winner. By picking the date of June 13, 1916 and the initials YG, I was able to find one immigrant who met that criteria, and that would be none other than Yvonnes Galliot, a 17-year-old girl from France. So that's what we're going to be learning about today, folks, the life of Yvonne. The manifest lists her middle name as Jean, but as it turns out, this is incorrect. She actually had an older sister named Jean, and that was probably the source of the confusion. But I followed the trail from relatives referenced on the manifest all the way through American and French records, and here is what I found. Yvonne Alice Galliot was born June 20, 1899 in Brest, a city in Brittany, France. She was one of at least 7 children of Albert Galliot and Annette Nicole Goran. The Galliot family is traceable at least until Yvonne's great-grandfather, Jean-Catherine Ferdinand Galliot, born sometime around the turn of the 19th century. Now this one is a really good example of how you should not just rely on websites like Family Search and Ancestry for your records, because a lot of these vital documents I found were only available through the Brest archives, which thankfully was digitized and uploaded online. So I was able to find a lot of old birth, marriages, and deaths to help trace this family back. Shortly after Yvonne came to the United States, she began working as a maid for a household in San Francisco, California, a city she would remain in for most of her life. In 1920, she married Italian-born Attilio Montano, who owned a jewelry store, and the couple had 2 daughters, but sadly, Attilio would die in 1945, leaving Yvonne to continue running the store. In 1971, she married a second time to a man named Achille Salera, but sadly the marriage is not to last as they divorced just 3 years later. And 1.5 years after that, Yvonne passed away. She outlived her siblings, most of whom also came to the United States to San Francisco, and she died in Santa Clara, California in 1975 at the age of 76. Yvonne was a classic example of the American dream, someone who came over from France and, worked as a maid, and then eventually she and her siblings built a life for themselves in the US, and between her and her siblings, they have a lot of descendants still alive in America today. So there you go, that's the life of a random immigrant, Yvonne Alice Galliot from Brest, France. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like this kind of content, let me know, and I may already have another one of these lined up for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.